Essentially, we're going to be starting with updating users, going into looking at the groups function. And again, this may be something you've already done or already used. We're just going to refresh those areas. Looking at the new changes to EducationCity with the updated tools and resources. And then going into sort of home working plans using the My Cities and bubble learning within the classroom. I'll touch upon a few of the new features along the way as we're going along, but that essentially is what we're going to be covering. Now, if we're going through and you've got any questions, you may have noticed for these webinars, we have a Q&A function. So you're able to type in a question in there. You can do it anonymously as well if you wish to. Just click on to the anonymous box and I can answer those as we're going through. Alternatively, if you'd rather wait until the end, I can give you our email address and you can send those over to us instead. Also, just before we get started, the account I'm going to be using is a made-up school. So please don't worry about any of the usernames that you're going to see, whether student or staff, they are all made up. So no GDPR being broken here. It is also an English account. So if you're joining me today from outside of England, there may be slight differences when you log in, but essentially, sort of the working of EducationCity and the tools that we have are the same. Right then, I think that's everything. We've got everybody joined us. So let's head over to educationcity.com where we can begin. And here we are on my homepage. Now, as always, you can use the classic view if you wish to. There's not a problem with that. It does the same thing, but I prefer the new view. So I'm going to click on the ribbon just there. I just find this is a lot easier to navigate as I'm working along. So starting off with our agenda, looking at updating users, it's really important that your users are updated in their new academic years. So that they can have their username, their login details, they can log into EducationCity and they can complete that learning. So heading over to the users area, here's my students just here. The easiest way to update your students for the new academic year is to first of all find the year 6, find the leavers in your school. So if I type in 6 just here, and it's going to start to filter down just here to my year 6s. There they all are. So I'm just going to type in the class name as it appears on the screen, 6BJ in this instance, and all of my year 6s will be here. Now I can have a look through, make sure I've not got anybody else from any of the year group, but essentially that is all done. And what we're going to do is click in the box just here so it highlights all of those students. What we can then do is head over to actions and delete those year 6 students. What that will do is that will leave way for your year 5s to become year 6s and your year 4s to become year 5s and so on and so forth. So that when we go back, you'll see now, just untick that, I've now got all of my students from year 1 or from EYFS I should say, up to year 5. What we're then going to do is to highlight the box just there, and we're going to export this to a CSV file. What that will do is it will open it up into an Excel spreadsheet for you, and then you can sort of update each of the users to their new classes and obviously input your new F1 students. So you can do that by clicking on to upload and edit. And just make sure that when the children are in that Excel file, it follows our sort of system code, if you like. So unique ID followed by first name, last name, class name, and so on and so forth. There is a sample spreadsheet that you can download and input the data into that. It's just got all the columns in the right place. But then once you've done, highlight it all on your Excel, paste it in here, click next, and just work your way through. Then when you've finished, it will tell you on the home page that your users have been updated. Now, if you've got any issues on that, don't worry about it. You can get in touch with us by clicking on the question mark. We've got our details there. But we have also got our help centre just here. That enables you to type in a question, if you like. So I'm going to type in groups, how to create a group. There it is just there. And we can follow that and it will talk us through how to do it. So we're in Manage Users at the moment. So there we go. Select groups, it's talking us through that process, add group, and so on and so forth. Now you'll notice I've got a couple of groups already set up for my students. You can have groups across the classes and across the school as well if you would like to monitor specific groups such as SEND, Pupil Premium, maybe your free school meal students. But the great thing is about the EducationCity groups, there isn't a limit as to how many you can have, nor is there a limit as to how many groups a child can belong to. So you can have a child in different groups, in different subject areas, in different bubbles within those groups, within those subject areas, whatever your imagination wants you to do, you can do it using the groups function. And we're going to add a group just here. Now it's always worthwhile popping your initials at the front of the group so that it's easy to navigate. So I'm just going to click in there and pop in my initials just there. And then I might pop in, if this is for science, for instance, maybe science, and then possibly the group name. So this might be a colour, it might be a word, a shape, whatever you want to call it. This one is going to be my, I'm just going to be really boring and call it group 1. There we are. But you can pop in some notes there as well. The notes are for you. Parents and students will not see the names of the group, nor will they see the notes that you make either. So always worthwhile. There we go. So I've got my group just here. I can search for students via their name, but once again, you can also search for students via your class name. So I can type in year 4. So I've got my 4 EMJ just there. So I'm just going to type in, there we go. And you can see I've got all my students now in 4 EMJ. And we can hover over to see what group students are already in. So Brandon, for instance, is in a whole school SEND group. He's also in Slytherin in my class. And he's in the home learning group just there as well. But we're essentially going to select the students that we're after, working our way through those, and just move them over. And you can see now students in this group, there they all are there. You can delete students from groups as well. So if I didn't want Gabriel in that group, we could just remove him like that. So you can sort of keep updating those groups. When you're happy, you can save. And it will tell you here if you've already got a group by that name as well. So it stops you having 2 of the same name. There we are. Now I mentioned as well about updating groups. So I've got my groups just here, Gryffindor, Hufflepuff, Ravenclaw and Slytherin. I can go into those groups and change the names as well as the students that are in them. So you can sort of take the same groups with you throughout the school if you wish to. But that grouping function comes in really handy in all aspects of EducationCity. So let's head back to the home page, because the first way it comes in really handy is with our assessments. If you haven't explored our assessments already, you need to have a look. These are going to be completely invaluable in terms of assessing the summer slide, as well as that COVID break in learning as well. And you can allocate for a group or a class. Now, just as an example, I'm going to pop in for year 4 there. The great thing is, because you do have access to assessments for the previous year, as well as the year group that you're after, you can go in and you can assess where the students' gaps might be for the previous year if you wish to. So you can see here I've put in year 3 for my year 4 students. I just want to see what gaps are available. And then I can look at English, maths or science. And you'll notice we've got some formative and summative assessments, as well as end of year assessments just there. For English, and that's in reading comprehension, spelling and in punctuation and grammar. But in maths, You may not have already noticed that as well as our formative and end of year assessments, we also have unit tests, always very handy. As well as in science, we now have our unit tests there also. There we go. The great thing about all of our assessments, if you didn't know already, they are marked for you. Yes, they are marked for you. It's amazing. Obviously, giving you time to go back into the classroom. Not only are they marked for you, all of our formative assessments and unit assessments will create a revision journal for students based upon the questions that they've gotten incorrect. And that's all done automatically for you as soon as you go through these stages. So really, really handy just there. I'm just going to select one of those. You can always preview as well if you wanted to click on that and open it up on the whiteboard to go through with your class maybe. So next, publish dates. I'm just going to select this date, and then obviously you've got your title, and that is all. As soon as I click next, summary, finish, and it's all done for you. Now, obviously, as I mentioned earlier, those are marked. And what you can then do is you can head into the folder to then see where your students are at. So whether it's in homework or in classwork, you can start to create that folder of work, allocate it to a group if you wish to. So just as an example, I've got a timetables bundle just here. We can head over to students, head over to groups, and you can find all of your groups just there. So whether you're doing this on a rotated system, carousel learning, whatever you want to use that for, that grouping function comes in really handy. Now, heading back to the content, I mentioned we've got some brand new features. You may not have seen this before. This is one of our many new games that have been created for you. They're kind of like the old whack-a-mole games that you used to find in the arcades, but they're available in maths and in English as well. Let's head over to the subjects area where I can show you a little bit more. Starting in English, you'll see we've got some brand new topic tools. So really, really useful to work with your students in your classroom. And they are these. They're called, well, I like to call them spinners. I don't think they've got a formal name. But we can spin those like the old story starter machine. And we've got here an orange. And we have to decide whether it's an or a. And we can obviously come down here and see, and woman, is that correct? Isn't it correct? And you can obviously have a discussion about this with your class. And there's so many of them. They are brilliant. If I scroll through here, you can see we've got compound words, spelling wheels, and we've got our brand new phonics screening check as well. A really, really useful tool that you can work with your students on. On that note, for those of you who teach phonics, you might have noticed we've got our new phonics bundle just here. This has compiled everything great about EducationCity phonics, and it's all in one place for you. And you'll find we've got a learn screen followed by activities to suit each of those letter bases. There we go. And we've got phase 2, phase 3, phase 4 and 5, even with those split digraphs and difficult sounds. And you'll see at the very end there, you've got your phonics screen check just here for the students to complete. So really, really amazing tools just there. We've also got some fantastic learn screens for the upper year groups. So have a bit of an explore. Those are fantastic. And also in the lower year groups, have a look at the English videos for reading comprehension purposes. Absolutely, I've got so much to tell you about, but I've not got enough time to go through everything with you. Now, we do also have obviously our times tables bundle going on there, and the multiplication tables check within that times table area. And we've got our games here as well. So in addition to the Play Live, we've got our times table games just here. Now in the lower year groups, you've got your odd and your even numbers. In English, you might have your capital letters, recognizing consonants, recognizing vowels, things like that. Again, all of these you can add into a folder to give to students. Simply click onto them, and wherever you see one of those plus signs, you can click on those, OK, and add into a folder. There we go. Now, whilst we're on the subject of new things, have a look at the new curriculum map. It's so easy to navigate. Head into your subject area, into your year group, into the unit that it is you want to cover, down to the lesson objective, and all of the tools are now color-coded for you. Absolutely fantastic. You'll see all of the activities are blue, all of the learn screens are a sort of pinky red color. If I click on a couple more just to show you, see if I can find a think it for you. There you go, your think it's are red. And you'll find as well, topic tools are green. So you can easily find what it is that you're looking for through Education City, as well as being able to filter down that left-hand side as well, whether your online resources or printables you're looking for. And once again, you've got those lovely orange plus signs that enable you to add into your folders. There we go. So this is just about everything for today. I do want to point out this brand new work overview. This enables you to track results of any work that you've set for students. And there's a really simple color-coded system just there. Tells you which students, or how many students I should say, have scored the percentage that you've set for them. And you can always click to enter that folder if you wish to. Now, speaking of those folders, once you're in here, I did mention that obviously you can add all those tools in and you can allocate to a class or a group. But don't forget that there's also that individual function. So if you do have a child who's particularly advanced to their peers or lacking behind a little bit, you can create a folder specifically for them, pop a load of tools in for them to access, whether in class or at home. We still have our preferences function enabling you to publish to students. And obviously all of the preferences stay the same. You know your students, you know what will work best for them. And then obviously we've got our tracking just here where you can see where your students are at. Now we do also have changes to our success tracker as well. Here it is just here. If I head back to the home page, I can show you where that is just there. The great thing is now, as well as being able to look for a group, a student, or an individual, there we go, or a class, there we go, and being able to look across those frames, you can now filter down your columns. This is something I'm so excited about. You can go through, you can take off the columns you're not wanting to look at, and you can add in the ones that you are. So if you've set an assessment, you might want to look at the questions that were attempted and how long it took them to complete, and maybe which groups they're in if you want to look at that as well. Maybe the questions available and the questions not attempted. You can obviously filter this down for yourself. And then you'll see you've got those additional columns just there, and everything can be exported for reporting purposes. So whether you're looking for a class, a group, or maybe an individual student for parents' evening, there we go, have a look at what they've been doing. Here we go, and you can have a look at those with the students. Now, I mentioned earlier about those assessments being marked for you. You can also click into the assessment from the success tracker and have a look at the questions that the children were given, the answers that they gave, and even the ones that they didn't attempt. There we go, you can go through those. You can print off a certificate if you're feeling generous, maybe print them off a certificate just there. And you can also have a look at that revision journal that was created for the student by the computer. So this will be based upon all of those questions the student got incorrect. Can also filter that down just there as well. So that is just about everything. Obviously, you can use everything on Education City to how it works best for you. So you're not going to use it in the way I've shown you, but have an explore, have a bit of a play with it. And obviously this can be used for home working plans within the My City area. So if you're anything does happen, students have to stay at home, you've still got an element of learning going on through Education City. There we go. I do hope that has been helpful to you. Don't forget that all of our webinars are recorded and can be found on our website. So if you were late to this webinar or you missed another one, you can head to educationcity.com and you can find all of those webinars on there. As promised, there is our email address, so you can get in touch with us that way. Send us any comments that you might have, any feedback, any questions that you might have about any element of Education City going forward. I really do hope to see you next time, but until then, take care and stay safe. Bye-bye.